What is going on? We're back at it again. Today on this video I'm going to talk about an issue that my buddy had, and it may help some of the guys out there. It's not going to be two-door related, it's not going to be Mustang related, it's going to be for 6th gen Camaro guys, 6th gen SS's. But in particular, if you got a 6th gen SS and you're making some pretty good power, I know my parking brake is up, I don't care. So the message that my buddy is getting is clutch performance reduced. And he gets that when he goes into a, Jesus, my suspension is squeaky. When he gets into a wide open throttle scenario. So he could just be driving along, he can be in first, second, third, whatever it is, but the minute he lays into it, the car starts wigging out. I can put a video clip of it right here, and as you see, it doesn't want to do anything. It's unresponsive. Even if he stays flat-footed the entire time to do it, the car will kind of fight and fight and fight, and then eventually it'll catch, you know, it'll come back up. But it cuts throttle, it's doing whatever it wants to do, because it's essentially going into clutch protection. The initial problem that we thought the car had was the clutch, and he actually went as far as replacing it and upgrading it from, I'm not gonna go into that. But he ended up changing the clutch on it for good measure. I mean, that's what we all thought was happening. But on the data log, he actually ended up getting some tips and advice. All right. To look at engine RPM and transmission output shaft speed. So as everyone knows, or if most people don't know, in 4th gear you're going to be in 1-to-1, and on the log, and I'll put a picture of it right here, RPM, output shaft speed, since you're in 1-to-1, they should not slip. That's a very good monitor to look at if you think you have clutch slip. But there was one point in the graph where it dipped. That right there is where his message was coming up, and that's why the car goes into a clutch protection mode or clutch performance reduced, because it thinks the clutch is slipping, obviously, because that sensor is wigging out. It thinks it's not turning as fast as the engine RPM, and you know, it's protecting itself. Even after a new clutch that he went from a monster to a Mantic triple, still had the issue. So I feel him, he's super salty about everything. But there is a bulletin that just got released by GM. I'm not 100% sure on the actual bulletin number, but what it is that the output shaft sensors, the speed ring, whatever you want to call it, the trigger wheel inside the trans can wobble and is not exactly hitting the sensor right, which makes sense because as you're going into wide open throttle and your car is producing torque, you are putting a lot of torque on the transmission, and that ring, you are essentially, you know, manipulating it or causing it to move due to the fact that the output shaft or the output flange on the trans is improperly tightened. So the fix for this would be to remove, you know, take the drive shaft out, whatever you're gonna take out, take the flange and the nut off. I believe you're gonna put a new flange, a new gasket, or a washer that comes with it, and re-torque it to spec. Now, in the bulletin, they also tell you, you know, remove the output shaft speed sensor, go in there and try and move it with a screwdriver to see if the ring actually moves. But what sucks on the 6th gen Camaro SS's is that the trans tunnel is super, super, super tight. So anyone that's done a transmission on a 6th gen Camaro knows that it freaking sucks. And the last thing you want to do is waste all that time taking a trans out to put a screwdriver into the mess of the ring to find out that you do in fact need to just re-tighten the flange and put a new nut on it and torque it to spec. The spec, I'm sorry, I'm not 100% certain on, but if you go and you have connections through GM, you can go and find the bulletin and they give you the whole rundown on everything. I wish I had a link for it, but it's relatively new. So if you are a 6th gen SS guy, And you don't necessarily need to be making a lot of power. You can, if your sensor is getting messed up, you know, your sensor is getting messed up, and it's causing you to have the problem that you're having. A lot of people are out there having this problem. A lot of people are out there replacing ECUs, replacing, as my buddy did, he replaced the clutch. You know, it is what it is. It kind of sucks that he had to do that. But if you want to follow him, Hostile, 1LE, Gen 6 Hostile, 1 of 44, no lift shift bandit, the whole 9, whatever he wants to call himself. His name is Greg. He also started YouTube, so subscribe to him. And hopefully this will get out there and this will help a lot of you guys out to alleviate this problem, because it freaking sucks when you do all this work, upgrade the clutch, do this. His 5th gear actually took a crap on him and he had the transmission built. And you know, he has cryo treated gears, the whole 9. I think he even bronze shift pads. I don't know if he has bill of forks. I don't know what's all entailed in like a level 6 or whatever, but you can, if you get in contact with Ben Calamer and see what kind of magic he works on the transmission. And this is like no fault of Ben Calamer, you know, because for who knows, the torque spec that's actually provided by GM may be off and may be updated in the bulletin. For people that don't work on cars all the time, you have to realize that stuff like this happens all the time in the dealership world, whether it be European cars, whether it be domestic cars. You know, stuff like this happens where you get a bulletin or a recall comes out where a car is producing noise, and if you're a Beamer tech, you know that the F10 5 Series, the bulletin was for the front wheel bearings. You know, nothing, no fault of manufacturer, no fault of the person who put it together, but that's just what it is. That's just over the time, the material and everything that is going on with those front wheel bearings just caused the clicking noise. So, you know, things do happen. It sucks that it happened to him, but the good thing is that we figured it out and we got it done. So I wanted to keep this video relatively short. And if it is out there, if it is happening to you guys that have a 6th gen Camaro, whether it be a SS, a 1LE, maybe even a ZL1, because I think the ZL1s also come with the same TR6060 that's in the SSs and the SS 1LEs, you know, that can alleviate your problem. I know a lot of guys are gonna start to have this issue, and maybe a little niche too, because there's not a lot of 6th gen guys that are making power. And honestly, when you compare 6th gen Camaro guys to Mustang guys, there's not a lot of 6th gen manual guys out there that are racing and beating their stuff up like a Mustang guy would. So there's that. Everyone's on this auto life to 8-speed, 10-speed, whatever. But for the manual guys that are out there getting after it and do it, check with your GM bulletin, check out what's going on, get a data log on the car to see what actually is going on with it. And if that's what's happening to you when the message comes up that the output shaft speed sensor signal dips aside from the RPM signal, more than likely that is going to be your issue. So if you like this kind of stuff, subscribe. We got a bunch of more other tech videos coming along the way in regards to everything. I have a Mustang and I have a 2-door Tahoe. You know, I'm not really a GM guy out there getting it and racing it right now, but I do like everything that's fast. I would like to put an LS9 in a freaking 2-door Tahoe, you know, but realistically I have plans to do a LSA blower and a Gen 4, 5, 3, you know, whatever kind of falls into my hand, and have fun with it. So there's that. Check out, you know, my boy Greg, subscribe to this channel, and I'm gonna come over here to Lowe's to give me some items. Yeah, go ahead, cross the street, there you go. See you guys later.